Good morning, everybody. Joe Ciaccio here. Happy Monday to everybody. Today I want to talk about a subject that has been an issue for agents for a long time. Something I ran across last Wednesday when I wrote an application for a client. So let me kind of draw you a little scenario, a little picture of where I'm going with the call today. You know you've got different carriers. You know you've got different prices. Carriers that will accept somebody and carriers that either give them a guaranteed issue or a graded, not exactly what the client wants. And the client tells you when you walk in the house, no sooner you get in the house, they slap you a couple of times, they punch you once or twice in the stomach, and they say, I can't afford much. My budget is real tight. I got bills I got to pay. I don't know if I can afford anything. So this is what happens to your brain. Your brain automatically goes into, I've got to sell them something cheap to make a sale. Now, when somebody tells you, or you tell somebody, I can't afford much, what are they telling you? You've got no idea. So you're thinking, oh, I got to pick my cheapest carrier because they told me they can't afford much. Yet, how do you know that the cheapest carrier you're going to give them is really the bottom line that they would come down to? So what ends up happening, your mind starts playing games on you. I haven't made a sale. I have made the sale. I got a goal I got to reach. Let me come out with this carrier here because it's cheap and it's inexpensive and I think I can make a sale. This is the overall picture of what happens. You kind of get scared because you don't want to go with the carrier that's going to approve them at what you feel is too high of a price for them because they told you they can't afford much. Now, let's take for an example, you walk into a house, a lady tells you that, automatically you go into cheap carrier. Yet you know, after asking the health questions, that they're going to be a fit for another carrier that costs a little bit more than your cheapest one. Yet your brain is telling you, they told me they can't afford much. They told me they're on a budget. Your brain, instead of going to that program that's going to accept them, you go to the cheap one. You go to the cheap one, who is less expensive, doesn't have Social Security billing, and bam, they get declined. Damn, I don't know what happened. You should have been approved. Knowing in your brain you shouldn't have done what you did, you went down that rabbit hole where you should have said, this is what I've got, this is the cheapest program out there, I know I can get you approved. You're thinking they can only afford $40 a month. How we come up with these numbers, I don't know, $40 a month. Yet this one over here is $45 and you can get them approved. So now what has happened? You're in a situation, you've given the client a $40 price for whatever face amount it is. Now you're telling them you've been declined, but let me find you something different. And the only thing different you're going to get them is something that costs more because you decided to go cheap. You decided, I got a quota I got to meet, haven't made no sales, I need to make commission. Your brain gets wrapped up in the word cheap. Your brain should be wrapped up, I need to get the client approved. Let the client know that I and our company does all the shopping for them. You give me your health information. My job is to get you the least expensive carrier out there that I know will fit in your budget. That's the way your brain has got to think. I can't afford much, bad month, I'm on a budget. All that is telling you is they're throwing up smoke screens because they think, and I believe this here, they feel that if they tell you that, you can discount your price and give them a better price. Now, sometimes go shopping for furniture. Sometimes you're able to tell the guy, listen, I can't afford that price today. It was on sale last week. Can you give me the sale price from last week? You got a 50-50 shot. The guy will come back and say yes. When it comes to life insurance, or if it comes to health insurance, the only way for you to get a different price in health insurance, if you're under 65, is to get a higher deductible. The only way to get a better price in life insurance, you got to have better health. So here's the name of the game. Get the client approved and then haggle about the price after, because you can always come down the face amount. Client calls me up last week and says, Joe, how you been? It's been a long time since I've talked to you. I've been thinking about it. I've got right now a $6,000 policy with Royal Neighbors, and I want to increase it, and all I want is $3,000 more. I said, okay. So we're chit-chatting and visiting on the phone, and I said, well, I would love to get you Royal Neighbors again, as you requested, yet their minimum is $5,000. She says, okay. She says, well, how much is the $3,000 one with the other carriers? I gave her a price, I think it was like $18. So, oh, no. I want Royal Neighbors. But I don't want 5. I want 6,000. So, okay. And she's a smoker. So I go up and I said, okay, I've got some carriers coming up. Let me come up to Royal Neighbors. And she says, I want Royal Neighbors. So in my mind, she told me earlier she couldn't afford that much. She's staying with her daughter right now. All these flags that are coming up in my brain that she can't afford much. But I said to myself, you're an experienced agent. You know the games these people play. You got to play the game the correct way to make a sale. You can't come up with something cheap to make a sale. So I said, okay. So I'm going down my list, and I'm looking at America, which will give you a non-smoker rate if you're going to quit in 3 years. I said, damn, Joe, she told you she wanted Royal Neighbors. I went down a little further. I saw American Amicable. It was cheaper. I come down to Royal Neighbors. I said, well, I can't think of her name right now. I can't think of her name. And I tell her, listen, fantastic. Royal Neighbors comes up as one of the top carriers within your budget. Is only $45.54. How do you remember this? I don't know. $45.54 for you to get the $6,000 policy for your kids. She goes, really? That's all? I'm in my chair, and I've got a little swivel on my chair. I about fell back. I couldn't afford much. I don't know what I can do. She's crying the blues to me. So I went from 3 to a 5 to a 6 because she wanted to get each one of her kids an even amount. So now she got a total of 12. Each kid's going to get $4,000. Now, I said, okay. She told me her medication. Everything went through just fine. Now, what I found out about Royal Neighbors e-app is that when you're going in there and you're filling it out and you get to the end, after you do every single thing, the signatures, the beneficiaries, the checking information, then they tell you accepted or declined. Either it's preferred if it's over $25,000 or standard, graded, or guaranteed. So I'm there waiting. This is just off our subject, but just information for you. When that little wheel is spinning, I called the carrier up again. I said, what's going on? She said, Joe, hit the back button or hit the refresh button, and it should straighten it out. I said, okay. Because it tells you, do not touch anything, don't move, don't do this. So I hit the refresh button, bam, she came back approved standard immediate rate. I was happy. Here's the point I want you guys to think about. You have our rate calculator. Our rate calculator is going to give you every single carrier from the least expensive to the most expensive based on that person's age, smoker, non-smoker, male or female. That will not tell you based on their health. It's a price quoting calculator. That's all it is, okay? When you look at it, you've got to sit and say, this is a tool for me to use to give a client a quicker quote than going in and trying to figure it out on your own. Our job is to gather health information about the client. Know a carrier that you love. You must pick a carrier that you want to use. Your choice is to pick the one that you feel most comfortable with. I'm going to tell you, you want to pick a carrier that does Social Security billing. And I harp on that. Terribly, I harp on it because I got so many agents that want to write non-Social Security drafting carriers. And they call me crying because the client can't afford 2 payments or the client can't afford that payment in the middle of the month. Need I say more? Okay? But Joe was the cheapest one out there. They couldn't afford much. So, quoting calculator shows all the carriers right here. You, being a smart person, can expand that and bring it up to the top of your iPhone. I don't know how Androids work. Expand it to where it's the one on top. You got more above it, but they can't see it. As a matter of fact, this is the least expensive one I've got. Royal Neighbors, American Amicable, whoever carrier you want to use, cheapest one right there. Believe it or not, seeing is believing. The most important thing that every one of us must put in our brain is that we're the professionals. Our job is to help the client get a program so when something sad happens, their kids, their spouse is not burdened with that financial expense when their emotions are totally out of whack when somebody dies. You are the only one that knows because you're holding the golden egg. You're seeing how there's less expensive companies than what you feel that they'll need to get approved. Because I'd much rather tell the client this $10,000 is going to cost you $75, even though it's a lot of money, $75 a month, than to tell them I can get you one for $68 and sit there while you go through the application saying I hope it gets approved. Oh my God, if it don't get approved, what am I going to do? If it don't get approved, I got to show them this carrier here. What do I do? Do I stop? Do I go forward? All these thoughts go through your mind. But they want something cheap. So here's my thought to every one of you. Learn your underwriting a whole lot more. Pick 2 carriers that you want to pivot to. Your first carrier is carrier of your choice. Social Security billing, please. Your second carrier, Social Security billing, please. To where you've got, you know, 2 carriers. Pick the carrier that is the one that you know inside out, that's most versatile in your marketplace. Okay? If you're like in the Midwest and there's a lot of people up there with COPD, you're not going to go with a carrier that has it as a graded. You want to go with a carrier that's going to give you immediate benefits on COPD, emphysema, chronic bronchitis, and black lung disease. You got to do it. Why do you want to sell them a graded when you've got an instant, immediate carrier for them? Pick 2 carriers. Go to the house. Tell me about your health. Everything we talk about is confidential. Heard the HIPAA laws. You must make that person feel comfortable. There must be a connection when you're in the house where they tell you everything. Are they going to lie to you? Yes, they will. Are they going to forget to tell you something? Yes, they will. So in my thought process, this is going back a long time, you've got to actually be a private detective. You've got to be a police officer. You've got to be an attorney on how to ask those questions, to dig, to listen to what they say, kind of come back and ask them the same question in a different sentence, because they were probably declined before, or they probably had something that was not immediate and they got it graded. So they sometimes already know what those prices are. Yet in your brain, you want to go the cheapest one as the other guy did. Your job is to provide a service to help that client get what they need. Pricing is very important. I'm not going to tell you it's not. Yet, I'd much rather give them a $10,000 for 75 that they cannot afford and say, I totally understand your budget. Nobody understands more than me because I'm on a budget just like you. This is what I recommend you to do. Talk to you like my older brother, talk to you like you're my younger sister. This is what I recommend to do. Let's come down to the 8,000. Or another tactic is price point selling. What do you want to pay to start a program today? You can do it in the beginning or you can do it at the end. Well, I don't want to spend 75. Don't sit and try to convince them to spend 75. They already tell you they don't want to. Then you may want to say, is it something you cannot afford? Is it something you don't want to afford? Sometimes I don't want to go through the rigmarole, and I agree that you're supposed to stand firm on your price. I'm there to help them, and I actually want to make a sale to provide for me. This is what I recommend for you to consider. You like this one for 8, for 62, or tell me, where do you want to be at on a monthly budget that you're going to pay for this program that you so desperately want? Joe, I don't want to spend no more than $50, maybe $55 a month. So what you're going to do, you're going to go back to your little rate calculator. You're going to put in one for, you're going to try what it is for 7,500, 8,000, 6,500, and come back and give them 3 choices. Give one for 50, 55, and 60. You show them what they want. If you throw one in for 60, that's fine. You gotta have confidence in what you do. Came up with 3, you pick out the one you want. Okay? Take your time, ask the health questions. Don't go cheap. Cheap's gonna come back and bite you in the butt. Go with the carrier that you are almost positive will accept your client. And from there, you'll start making more sales. And once you start feeling more confident in doing this here, your voice isn't going to be all crackly and nervous and all those little twitches we have when we know there's something cheaper and our brain is telling you to do it. Yet your heart and soul is saying, Joe, you got to take care of this person. You got to help them. You got to provide them a service to where when something happens to them, you're going to feel good about it, that you didn't leave the house not doing a good job because you wanted to do cheap. Okay, guys, you got any questions, call me. We love you. We appreciate you. If you need leads, direct mail leads, virtual leads, we got them. You need a different carrier, call me no matter what you need. Medicare Advantage, you guys that are starting to get back into health insurance, you're not happy with your current upline, you're not getting what you're promised, call me. We'll make it better for you guys. We love you. Be good. Bye-bye. Here's our phone number right here. Call me.